Hey guys, welcome back to Music Talk with John. Today I'm going to show you some albums that I picked up recently. I continue the series that I have going on of recent grabs, and we're going to get right into it today. And the first one I picked up is a band that I first heard of from Dylan at Noble Records, and I'm still getting into them, but I like them. I know they're going to grow on me even more. I like to put on the album and listen to it, and it really, I just like the sound of it. So I know the songs are going to grow on me eventually. So anyway, the first one I have here is the 13th Floor Elevators. You're gonna miss me, baby. You're gonna miss me, child. Yeah. And this is their debut album. Hold it up correctly there for you. And it was the first album actually to use the word psychedelic sounds. The word psychedelic, I'm sorry, not sounds, but the word psychedelic on an album. So I don't know if these guys are the ones that started off that psychedelic title, but it was the first album to have actually psychedelic on it. This came out in 1966. This is a reissue that I have. It came out in 2012. I just found it in a box and knew to grab it. I have Easter Everywhere. I have that album, but I've been looking for their debut album. This version I have sounds good. Doesn't have any pops, and it's on black vinyl. So really liking it. They have this sound that goes throughout. I don't even know how to describe the sound. The music is cool. It's kind of folksy, bluesy, pop a little bit, but then it has this funky, like, trippy sound that runs throughout the whole thing that really just puts it way out there. So I guess that's your psychedelic sound. Second album I have for you is the Beatles' second album. I got this recently, and it's in good shape. Whoever had this collection at these records kept them nice. This album came out originally in 1964, and I was just listening to something, I guess 63 is when the UK got to know the Beatles, and 64 is when the US got to know the Beatles. So this is a release of Capitol Records. It's the second Capitol album's release, but the third actual Beatles album that was released in the US. You got the boys on there. And it includes Roll Over Beethoven, Thank You Girl. Money, Long Tall Sally's on here, Please Mr. Postman, She Loves You is on here. So this is a nice clean copy that I got. I don't know if I told you before, so it came out in 64. This copy that I have, I believe, after doing my research, came out in 1978. So this is an older pressing, but not actually an original. So on black vinyl there, and plays nicely, no pops. So I'm very happy with this one. I had a copy of it before this one, and the next album I'm going to show you, and they're in really bad shape, so I eventually got rid of them, and all of a sudden these bad boys popped up at a really cheap, so I grabbed them. The next one here is Beatles 65. This came out in 1964, and the version I have is a 1976 pressing. You know, if you break my heart, I'll go. This is the 5th studio album released by Capitol Records in the US, because, you know, was it Parlophone? You Beatles fans are going to shoot me. Parlophone Records for UK, and then Capitol Records was the US distributor for Beatles albums. And they kind of went back and forth, released different things that they didn't release in the UK, because the UK would release extra tracks, and so there'd be more UK songs from the albums in the UK on like their studio albums, and there'd be less tracks on the US for some reason. So the US sometimes played catch up and put out other albums. So this isn't really included in the essential Beatles catalog, but this is a US Capitol release. So like I said, this was their 5th one with Capitol, and this copy is on black vinyl, and it has no pops. It sounds good, nice and clear. I was happy to get it. The record's clean, so I was very happy to get a hold of this one. Like I said before, the original copy I had of this was just really bad shape, had a lot of pops, and I remember on both of these, the second album and the 65 album, they were both, the covers were just falling apart, and whoever had these kept them in really nice shape. So, and I wasn't really planning on building like the full collection with the Capitol records. I have all the essential Beatles over there, but these were in such good shape I couldn't pass it up, so I didn't. Next one I have here is one that I've been looking for. I used to have it on CD. This originally came out in 1982, and this says 2017 on it, so I have a 2017 copy of it, but this is the Great 28 by Chuck Berry, Chess Records, and it was actually ranked 21 on the Rolling Stones magazine list of 500 greatest albums of all time. And when you I listened to it again, and yeah, I reacquainted myself with a lot of Chuck Berry songs. Everybody knows like his go-to songs like Johnny B. Good, Maybelline, things like that, Sweet Little 16. You always think of Chuck Berry as always that kind of same rhythm or whatever, but he's a good storyteller, good lyricist, and the music always has something a little different in there. So I was glad I picked this one up, and this is clean, very clean, sounds good, and not a pop, and it's just a nice copy of the album. So and I think it came out of the same collection as the Beatles here. But this has some of the songs that I mentioned already, but has Too Much Monkey Business on it, School Days, Havana Moon, which sounds a little bit different than normal Chuck Berry.
Havana Moon, Havana Moon.
Brown Eyed Handsome Man is on here, Back in the USA. So just great 28. When it says Great 28, it really is the Great 28. So if you are interested in checking out Chuck Berry, this is definitely a great place to start. Next one here is Creedence Clearwater Revival at the Royal Albert Hall, and just about everybody and their mother has done a video on this album, and I was thinking about doing it myself because this really opened my eyes to how great of a guitarist and underrated guitarist John Fogerty is. This band, that core group, and man, let me get their names. So on drums was Doug Clifford, bass and backing vocals, Stu Cook. You had Tom Fogerty on rhythm guitar and backing vocals. So he had this tight core band, and it really showed on the Netflix documentary. And at first when I saw the Netflix documentary, I thought it was just some old, I don't know why, I thought it was some old 60 Minutes special or something. I don't know why, maybe I was just half awake or something. But then I realized later that not Jeff Daniels, what is his name? From The Big Lebowski. Come on, people, help me. Not Jeff Daniels. Jeff Bridges. There it goes. All right. So Jeff Bridges actually narrated it. So when you hear his voice in there, it really helps. And it's a really cool documentary. And it takes you to their first European tour. And this is about the time the Beatles were breaking up. And just before this concert, the Creedence was like, I never knew this, but riding the Beatles' coattails, and they were kind of on the top at that time when the Beatles broke up. Creedence was the band, and that just happened to fall upon the time that they were doing their first tour of Europe and played at the Royal Albert Hall. So the documentary is cool. It gets different information from them about how Europe is different than the U.S. and things like that, and it leads right up to the concert, and then you watch the concert. I just was like, wow, you know, Fogerty on harmonica, that tight rhythm section with the bass, drums, and rhythm guitar, just holding the fort, and then he was just free to get in there and do solos and play harmonica and sing, and it just opened my eyes to how good he was. Videos like this should be available all the time so people can really get to know how these bands work when they play live, because you're talking 1970 when this came out, and there wasn't backtracks and things to fill a band out. They were just on their own, and these guys just killed it. So you definitely have to pick this up if you're looking into Creedence, or if you're a Creedence fan, you can't pass this up. The quality is good. You could tell it was recorded on older equipment a little bit, but it still plays nice, so I don't have any issues with it at all. And this version that I have came on Tombstone Shadow Vinyl, and I think there's actually a Tombstone Shadow. There you go. So they did the vinyl after the song Tombstone Shadow, and it's on Fantasy, and it's a Craft recording. Craft, that company is very good with their releases, so I recommend them. And just really good, pressed on 180 gram vinyl. So can't praise this album enough. And that video, that documentary on Netflix, I can't remember the name of it right now, but check it out. Just put in Creedence on Netflix and you'll find it. And then I have The Cure, Disintegration. This came out in 1989. This is a 2010 copy of this that I have. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for this to come on vinyl, and it finally just showed up, and I grabbed the bad boy. And they said this was kind of like The Cure's return to their introspective kind of gothic style that the band had. Sorry, dropping stuff in the early 80s. And it's a nice reissue. Robert Smith actually, I better have his name right, actually produced it and remastered it, so he had his hands in it. And it's on 2 LPs, black vinyl, has a gatefold. There's your backside there. So just a great album. This actually had some hits on it. This was, I think, one of their first biggest commercial successes, Pictures of You and Love Song. I remember those songs. So, and that was, like I said, 1989. But just a great album if you're looking to get into Cure. This is definitely a very good starting point for them. It's a sort of a concept album to me, very moody and gothic, like I said, but it just has a nice flow to it right from the very beginning. Plain song, just it tells you what this album's going to be about. Picture represents it. It's very dreamy, very just atmospheric and dreamy, and just so much space in there, and you're just floating around there with him. So anyway, that's what I have for you guys today. That's my recent pickups. Appreciate you guys watching the video, and until next time, you guys enjoy your music, and hit that like button, subscribe button for me, leave some comments so we can talk about these records. And until next time, you guys enjoy your music, and you take care. Bye.